Good evening to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Let us start the session with a nice quote. What is today's quote? It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. When we are depressed, we have darkest moments. We must focus to see the light. That should be the philosophy. Before I go to the editorial analysis, what is this editorial about? It is all about former Indian Navy personnel in Qatar getting the death penalty. And based on that, we'll start with the tone of the editorial. What is the tone of the editorial? The tone of this editorial is one of concern, urgency, and criticism. Concern, obviously, they got the death penalty or capital punishment. Concern has to be there. Urgency, something has to be done immediately. And criticism, because it starts with mystery trial. Something is missing, something is not transparent. Based on that, criticism. How does the editorial start? Mystery trial. Mystery trial, mystery, something we cannot understand or comprehend. And the word trial goes with a particular case, whatever happens in the court of law. On the case of the former Indian Navy personnel in Qatar. Coming to the main idea of this editorial, India must leverage ties with Qatar to free its citizens facing death penalty. As I said, India has to act immediately. It has to use its ties, diplomatic ties, to free its citizens who got death penalty immediately. And before I go to the editorial, let us have a look at the words you can learn from this editorial. Some important words are there. First one, leverage, part of speech verb. Use something to maximum advantage. You make use of something to the maximum advantage, leverage. We have got this many a time. Espionage, an important word, part of speech noun. The activity of secretly collecting and reporting information. Here you can also think of the word spying, spy, spying. Shroud, an important word, part of speech verb. It's a regular verb. Cover or envelope so as to conceal from you. In simple words, hide something, shrouded in secrecy, shrouded in mystery, typical combinations. Scant, we don't use in the same form, usually we say scanty. Scanty is also adjective, barely sufficient or adequate. A typical combination, scanty resources, scantily dressed, adverb. Pre, part of speech noun, it goes with informal English and also with formal English. A request made in an urgent and emotional manner. Plea, make a plea. It takes the verb make. Diverge, we have got many a time, part of speech verb, it's a regular verb. Make known private or sensitive information. Usually it goes with information, secrets. Don't divulge the information, don't divulge the secrets, don't reveal, don't disclose. These are the words you have to recollect. Pertain is also an important word, part of speech verb, to be appropriate, related to, or applicable to. Pertaining to something, pertaining to politics, pertaining to economy, relating to economy, related to economy. Then we have stealth. Stealth, actually, we use a different word form, stealthy, part of speech adjective. Movement that is quiet and careful in order not to be seen or heard. Usually this goes with big cats, lion, tiger, cheetah. Before attacking the prey, they walk stealthily. Movement that is quiet and careful in order not to be seen or heard. Then all of a sudden they pounce upon the prey. In this context, stealth submarine. Pertinent and important word we have got a few times. Part of speech, adjective. It goes with pertinent question, pertinent point, pertinent something. Policy. relevant or applicable to a particular matter. Apposite is an important word. Clemency, in this part of the world, we use the word mercy or lenience, but generally lenience goes with rules. Someone is strict, someone is lenient. But if you go to the Western countries, they use the word clemency. Meaning wise, no difference, showing mercy. Legwork, part of speech noun we have got for the first time. Work that involves much traveling about to collect information, especially when such work is difficult but boring. We don't mention the word boring, rather difficult, involves the traveling about to collect information. That too in some other country, obviously, not an easy task. These are the words you can learn from this editorial. Let us go to this editorial. How does it start and what is this about? Any editorial that deals with a death penalty, you have to ask a few pertinent questions. Who got the death penalty? Why they got the death penalty? Where they got the death penalty? Whether it can be justified or not justified or not? Whether the trial is transparent or not? And because it happened in some other country, what India has to do to protect its citizens. And because it is rather mysterious, obviously, India has to do something immediately. Otherwise, innocent people may get affected. And also, because it's a case, you have to recollect all the words that go with a particular case. File a case. The person who files a case, we use the word plaintiff. The person who has to defend, defendant. Then the entire process is called trial. Someone is innocent, then the person is acquitted. Someone is found guilty, the person is convicted. In this process, you have to recollect the words like evidence, eyewitness, alibi, and finally the verdict. And it starts with mystery trial, something that is not clear, difficult to understand. The word mystery, you should also recollect the word enigmatic. On the case of the former Indian Navy personnel in Qatar, India must leverage ties with Qatar to free its citizens facing death penalty. Death penalty, an important word, expression, because in some countries this has been banned. What is the other expression for this? Capital punishment. Capital punishment is nothing but death penalty. In Western countries, some countries, death penalty has been banned. In our country, some intellectuals say we should also ban death penalty. It has become controversial. It has been in the limelight for quite some time. Many intellectuals say we should ban capital punishment. You may get this as a passage in the exam. When I talk about intellectuals of a country, there is one important word, intelligentsia. Intelligentsia of a country means intellectuals of a country. Now let us go to the editorial. The death sentence handed down by a Qatari court on Thursday to 8 Indians reportedly accused of espionage is indeed deeply shocking, as the Ministry of External Affairs described in a statement, and the situation is now a major test of the Narendra Modi government's diplomatic skills. What is this about? The death sentence handed down, an important phrasal verb, by which court? By a Qatari court, when on Thursday, who got the death penalty? 8 Indians reportedly accused of espionage, means spying, is indeed deeply shocking. This development is deeply shocking, as the Ministry of External Affairs described in a statement, and the situation is now a major test for whom? Of the Narendra Modi government's diplomatic skills. A situation like this, a particular country has to use their diplomatic skills and do something to its citizens. That's what the sentence talks about. And now, obviously, anything like this, why the word mystery has been used and what exactly is the allegation or accusation. The trial was shrouded in secrecy. Shrouded means covered in secrecy, with scant information, a little information on the charges and evidence against the former Indian Navy servicemen. There are two dimensions here: scant information related to charges, scant information related to evidence against the former Indian Navy serviceman arrested in August 2022. It says that that's why it starts with mystery trial. The trial was shrouded in secrecy, not transparent. Why? How to justify that statement? With scant information on the charges and evidence against the former Indian Navy servicemen, and they were arrested in August 2022. Despite pleas from their families, plea can is a noun, pleas plural form, a formal and urgent request from their families and Indian diplomats in Doha. Qatar has not explained why it has not divulged details of the case. In this case, 8 Indians have been sentenced to death, and Qatari court or the Qatar government has not explained why it has not provided the details of the case. Divulge means to make public the details of the case. Based on that, because the government did not disclose the facts or the details of the case, the editorial has used words like mystery, shrouded in secrecy. Even the judgment has yet to be shared with New Delhi. Generally, what happens, people of a particular country get something like death penalty in some other country. That country informs the country the people belong to. In this case, they haven't informed yet. The sentence says, despite pleas from their families and Indian diplomats in Doha, Qatar has not explained why it has not divulged the details of the case. Even the judgment has yet to be shared with New Delhi. They haven't shared yet. There's one important expression, yet to be shared, that you have to remember. Yet to be shared means they haven't shared yet. Coming to the next sentence, a leaked report suggests that the men have been accused of sharing secret information pertaining to the stealth submarine program they worked on with a third country, a charge their families have denied. What is the accusation? And this is based on some leaked reports. Leaked reports suggest something. What do they suggest? They suggest what is the accusation? What is the accusation? Why they have been given the death penalty? A leaked report suggests that the men have been accused, here it is in present perfect passive voice, accused of sharing secret information pertaining to, relating to the stealth submarine program they worked on with a third country, a charge their families have denied. Now, these people worked on a particular program. What is that program? Stealth submarine program. And they worked, and the allegation or the accusation is they shared that information with a third country. And based on that, they got the death penalty. But this accusation or the charge, their families have denied. They have denied, means they have not accepted, they have said no. Visits by Indian officials to Qatar to plead for leniency and transparency have been of no avail. This is an important expression. Have been of no avail means no use. Do remember this expression. Now, based on this development, what is the response or reaction of Indian government? Visits by Indian officials to Qatar to plead. Plead is a noun, plead is a verb. It's a regular verb. Plead, pleaded, pleaded. For leniency or mercy and transparency, because they did not disclose the actual charges, the information. Transparency have been of no avail. Of no avail, that's an important expression. Means what? Something has been of no avail, means no use. Their efforts have gone uh, down the drain. And now the editorial provides a similar case. It happened, I think, 2017 or 18 in Pakistan. While this case has some parallels to the case of former naval commander Jadhav, who is on death row too in Pakistan, the difference is that India's ties with Qatar have been relatively better. Similar case in Pakistan, and the person involved, and who is that Jadhav, who is on death row too in Pakistan, but there's a difference. What is that difference? The difference is that India's ties with Qatar have been relatively better, obviously. To justify that statement, better, relatively better, the ties, the editorial provides two or three examples. Apart from strategic and defense cooperation agreements, India sources 40% of its LNG needs from Qatar. There is interdependence. India is also Qatar's third biggest source of imports, particularly raw materials for construction and fresh food items. Obviously, these two sentences talk about we have better ties with Qatar, and there's a lot of interdependence between the two countries. And one more important point, pertinently. Pertinent means relevant and related to. Pertinently, appropriate also you can say. Pertinent question, relevant or appropriate question. Pertinently, these supplies continued despite the Gulf blockade against Qatar in 2017, which should have counted for some goodwill towards India. Way back in 2017, there was the Gulf blockade against Qatar in 2017. That time also, the supplies continued. And keeping that in mind, which should have counted for some goodwill towards India, they should have produced, or they must have considered this, and some goodwill should have been developed. In addition, one more factor to show that we have better ties. In addition, 7 lakh Indian expatriates, those who leave a particular country and go to another country and live over there, expatriate. We also, for all of them together, we use the word diaspora. I've given many a time. 7 lakh Indian expatriates are an integral part of Qatar's institutions, industry, and workforce. They're integral part of all these institutions, industry, and workforce. A rift in ties, a gap in ties, which a sentence like this is bound to engender, bound to bring about, or bound to happen, will be will be to the detriment of both countries. Detriment means harmful, dangerous. Will be detrimental to both countries. You can say that also. Will be to the detriment of both countries. Better expression, formal expression. And India must make this clear to Qatar. Both the countries will lose if something is not done immediately. The second part of the editorial, very brief, but what does it say? It must means expressing a personal obligation by the editor or the editorial. The government must waste no time in charting the next steps to ensure the Indians are given the best possible support in an appeal. They should make sure Indians are given the best possible support in an appeal. Apart from the legal appeals process and diplomatic legwork, besides providing the support, they should also work on legal aspects, legal appeals process, and also diplomatic legwork. Legwork means what? Doing traveling about to collect information, especially, which is difficult because you have to go to Qatar and collect information. That is a bit difficult, and they have to do the diplomatic legwork. Apart from the legal appeals process and diplomatic legwork, channels to the Qatari leadership should be activated, to the top people, activated at the highest levels, including the prime minister if necessary. If it is necessary, they have to touch the Qatari leadership and they have to involve the prime minister if necessary. A case must be made for clemency. Clemency means what? Mercy, a lenience. A case must be made, it is in passive voice, for clemency and commuting the sentences to jail terms. There's one important word here, commute. It goes with everyday English. Commute means to travel long distances for work, and the person is called a commuter. But here it does not mean that. Commuting the sentences, the death penalty sentences to jail terms. That means what here? Commuting means converting. Converting the sentences to jail terms that could even be served out in India. They have to convert the death penalty to a jail term, and that jail term could be even served out in India if the men are indeed found guilty in the appeals process. But that is not a practical thing. Notwithstanding, not considering, reports that seek to tie the verdict to more geopolitical considerations. Here, not considering reports, what reports that seek to tie, they want to relate the verdict to more geopolitical considerations. What are those geopolitical considerations? Including perceived Qatari differences with India over its policy on Israel and Palestine in the current conflict, the government must demonstrate that the lives of the men are indeed a priority for their country and for a government that claims a policy of no Indian left behind. Keeping aside the reports which say the verdict has some geopolitical considerations, including the perceived Qatari differences with India, based on what? Over its policy on Israel and Palestine in the current conflict, irrespective of that, the government must demonstrate that the lives of the men are indeed a priority for the country and for a government that claims the current regime has a policy, claims a policy, what is it? No Indian left behind. They don't want Indians to suffer abroad in some other country, and they're ready to do anything. And the policy is no Indian left behind. And based on the three words, the tone, one is urgency, second is using the diplomatic ties. I have used three words. One is urgency, concern, first one, second one urgency, and the third one criticism, because the case is not transparent. So this is all about the editorial. Now, what is the idiom of the day? Elephant in the room. Elephant in the room means an obvious major problem or issue that people avoid discussing. There's an important problem or an important issue, everyone knows that, but people avoid discussing that. Then we call that issue elephant in the room. For example, we both know that we cannot carry on like this. It is the elephant in the room. I hope you got the meaning. Today, this exercise, I have brought new patterns, and this is not a live session. I wanted to see how it looks on screen, and if it works out, I'll continue with this. And let us see. You can give the feedback. Match the word to its meaning based on the recent editorial. Brazen, anathema, insulate, partisan, undermine, deploy. These are the words, and here you have the meanings you have to match. Brazen behavior, brazen policy, brazen politicization, part of speech adjective. And you should understand brazen is a negative word. It means bold and without shame. Answer is C. Anathema we have got for the first time, an important word, formal word, not used regularly, meaning something or someone that is hated or avoided. Insulate we have got a few times. Anathema is a noun and insulate is a verb. Actually, it goes with electricity, wires, but here a different meaning altogether, part of speech verb. It means to protect someone or something. Then we have the word partisan, we have got so many times, strongly supporting a person, principle, or a political party. Undermine also, we have got many a time, it's a verb, a regular verb. Gradually weaken or destroy someone or something, undermine something. And deploy, I'm sure you all know the meaning. It has two or three meanings. Usually I give the meaning to position, but in this context, to use something or someone based on the editorial, use the bureaucrats. That's what it means. And here you have word combinations. You cannot, I cannot write, but you can write if you are, if you have a paper, pen and paper. Brazen, what are the word combinations? Next time I'll show the words. Brazen behavior, brazen policy, brazen attitude, and brazen politicization of something means bold and shameless. Here you can see the fixed prepositions, some words, pursuit. We use the standard phrase in pursuit of. It takes a preposition of. Pursuit, in pursuit of your ambition, your dreams, your goals, your career. These are the combination words. Insulate takes the preposition from. Insulate yourself from. And usually it takes negative words. Insulate from danger, from risks, from bad behavior, from bad habits, from bad circles, bad influence. These are the combination words. Partisan, politics, usually a typical combination. It also goes with behavior, attitude, all these. Undermine a system, values, standards, quality. Usually it goes with a system, it goes with a particular aspect of the society. And deploy goes with police, soldiers. In the context of the editorial, the bureaucrats. What are the important fixed prepositions? Desist from. Desist means stop someone from doing something. Desist from. Regardless of. You can also say irrespective of. In pursuit of. Insulate from. Details on. Generally, we say details about. You can also use on. Control of. In control of someone or something. Loyal to someone or something. And what is the phrasal verb of the day? Call out. Call out has two or three meanings based on the editorial to criticize someone or ask them to explain their actions. You someone does something, you call, you ask, you ask them to be answerable and to explain why they have done, and then we use call out to criticize someone or ask them to explain their actions. Whatever grammar you can learn, you could write here. Should have been done, should have done. There's one pattern. Where do we use a should have done or should have plus verb past participle form? It is used to express an unfulfilled duty or a neglected action that you have to recollect. They have given in many exams. Because I could not do the editorial session yesterday. Usually next time I will bring the words from the previous day's editorial, and here you can consolidate as usual. Consolidation of editorial vocabulary. That will be tomorrow. You will have, not tomorrow, Monday, you will have the words from today's editorial. That's all about today's editorial analysis. This is a new pattern I have brought for the first time, and here there are some advantages, some disadvantages. I'll spend a few minutes, then I'll wind up the session. What are the disadvantages? You cannot see me. That is one disadvantage. You can only listen to the voice, listen to the analysis, you cannot see. That may make some sort of negative impact. And besides that, I don't see any other negative aspect, disadvantage. What are the advantages? You have everything one place, and I can simply show you whatever I want to explain. PPT presentation, I have to change the slides and all. Here, I have to simply take you down and explain everything one shot. And this seems to be better, in my opinion. This is a better way of to present the information. But still, you are learners. From your end, whatever you feel, you can give the feedback, and that feedback will be considered accordingly. I will decide how to present the information. That's all for today. Thank you very much. I will see you guys on Monday. Thank you.